What's up everybody? Today I'm in Rio de Janeiro and I'm gonna show you what it costs to live here. In Brazil, the currency is the Brazilian real, but I already converted everything to US dollars, and at the moment of recording this video, 55 reais are about $10. 6.75 million people live in the municipality and approximately 13.5 million in the urban area. In 2020, in Brazil, the monthly minimum wage guaranteed by law was $190, and this is the average salary of a waiter compared to other big cities. Remember, Rio has a wide spectrum of people. There is a lot of disparity when looking at what people earn. If you lived in the favelas, for example, you could easily live with $300 to $400 a month, while in other places like Ipanema, Copacabana and Leblon, you would need much more. Rio de Janeiro has the highest real estate prices in the entire country, and like every big city, when renting an apartment, prices vary depending on which area you want to live in. If you want to rent in an upper-class neighborhood like Leblon, Ipanema, Copacabana or Gavea, just to name a few, you're looking at spending around $600 a month for a small one-bedroom apartment. If you decide to live in a less popular area or a bit outside the city, you can probably find the same apartment for half the price. This is how Rio renting prices compare to other cities. Food is one of the cheapest things about Rio, and for 1 month of groceries you could get by with $180. Tap water in Rio is safe to drink, however some people, including me, find the taste to be unpleasant. That's why I would stick to bottled water. Like food, transportation in Rio is also very affordable. There are a few ways to move around that I'd recommend. The first one would be by Uber. They're incredibly cheap, safe and easy to use. A 10-minute ride will cost about 5 reais, which are 90 cents. Another viable option if you travel long distances would be the metro. It's reliable and safe. Here you could get a rechargeable card or buy every time a card for one trip, which will cost you 90 cents. I wouldn't recommend using buses, especially during the night. Realistically, I'd say that to move around Rio for a month, you would spend about $70. Just be careful because at the end of the month, all those Uber rides add up, even if they are really cheap. So this is how public transportation prices compare to other cities. During the day it's safe to walk and bikes are also an option. The monthly plan to use this bike sharing program is $5. It allows you to use them for 4 trips per day, up to 45 minutes per trip. Here are a few prices that might give you a general idea of how cheap it is to live in Rio. A pack of cigarettes is $1, 1 liter of gas, which is 1/4 of a gallon, is 80 cents, and a man's haircut is $6. The Brazilian healthcare system, known as Sistema Único de Saúde, also called SUS, is a public health system which provides free and universal access to healthcare. All Brazilian nationals can use the SUS. As an expat, I'd recommend getting a private health insurance plan, as you will have better service and infrastructures. Depending on your age and coverage needs, prices may vary, but for a 28 years old man, a very good coverage would cost you about $90. And what about the best and the worst things when living in Rio? Let's hear Don, who's been living here for some time. By the way, he also has a YouTube channel and it will be linked in the description.
One of my favorite things about living here is with the US dollar, it's so cheap to live here. We were able to stay in the Copacabana area, which is a famous tourist area, only 2 or 3 blocks from the beach, for a fraction of what it would cost to rent an Airbnb in the US or other places in the world. That's been one of the best things about living here with US dollars in my bank account is that we can live close to these tourist areas. We can walk to the beach in 5 minutes. The food is very cheap and still very good. Even the beer. I've been amazed. I'm a craft beer drinker, so I like to drink the expensive stuff. And a normal craft beer here will cost me about what it cost me for a Bud Light at home. So all that stuff has been great. And I really love the fact that you have the option to go to the beach, to surf, to swim, to hang out on the beach, or you can go into the city, and there's beautiful places to see within the city limits, trolley tours, or even get out on a trail and go up to see Christ and wander around Tijuca National Park. So there's pretty much anything you could be looking for in a major city right here within city limits. There are a couple things that are negative here. It does feel a bit unsafe. Some of the things that you've heard are probably true. Some of it's probably not as bad as you think it is. But you do have to be aware, you have to be careful, you have to just be on your guard and look around, and that's not always the best feeling. Sometimes it does feel bad or feel unsafe to go out in the evening, late at night when it's dark. You do always feel like you're kind of watching your back, and it's a good idea because I have actually been jumped before here. They didn't take anything from me, luckily, but I was robbed I was attempted robbing by a large group of children. I was in a tunnel, so there was nowhere for me to go to get in and out, and there were these kids coming at me. They kind of stopped me on my bike. I ended up jumping off and standing up, and I'm a little bit bigger than those kids are. I'm 6'4", or 193 centimeters, so that's pretty tall, and I think they got a little bit spooked and ran away. But not everybody's that lucky. I've heard a lot of stories about people who've had their iPhones stolen and other cameras and equipment and stuff. Basically, don't walk around with any valuables out and in your hand like we're doing right now. But we're in a safe place at this moment, but you just have to be very aware of what you're doing. There are kind of shady characters around, and as long as you know where you're going and you stay in these good areas, you should be safe. But there are a lot of people that are apparently robbed on the beaches in Copacabana and Ipanema that I've heard as well. These groups come through the beach and just kind of grab what they can and move along. And the police presence here is questionable at best. I assume it's probably safe to tell this story, but when we were on the highway one time coming between Sao Paulo and Rio, right outside of the city of Rio, we were stopped by a group of police officers that had a checkpoint put up, and we were actually extorted by those police officers and taken to an ATM to get money to give them, or they were going to take us in for drug trafficking or something. We later found out that 2 of those officers weren't even on duty that night, so they just had this whole big scam sting operation going. And a lot of these problems are systemic, and it's the amount of money that people make here and the cost of living is just not tenable. So people are unfortunately forced into kind of poverty, and they are forced to kind of either steal from people, or police officers that aren't making enough to feed a family are forced to kind of end up stealing from the people they're supposed to protect. So I don't want to excuse that behavior, but I will say I've tried to look at the other side and understand it. At the end of the day, I definitely will say Rio is a gorgeous city. Most of the people I've met here are amazing, super friendly, and it's beautiful everywhere. So if you're thinking about coming and you have any reservations, I say take the chance, come here, be careful, and I think you'll really enjoy your trip.
Now, if you really want a specific number of how much it costs to live in Rio, we could say that considering all the major costs mentioned and some other smaller costs for entertainment like going out, having a few drinks, eating out, getting a few coconuts at a bar, you need about $1,000 a month. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.